Hello, here we are getting ready to make the first signature to our album, and it will go here on the left side panel. Oh, and just so you can see, I did get everything all glued on and it's all in place and looking good. Okay, so this is what I have set up for the base page. Going to do a little side pocket, and I am doing just 2 flaps left and right, but then I'm going to do 2 up here that are going to flip up, and I've got everything all ready to go. So let's start off with this measurement here. Where am I just misplaced. There it is. I got it buried. All right, this base piece measures 7 5/8 going across by 8 inches. Now I want to show you what I did do with some of my scraps off of these cuttings here. Oh, it will just be these 2 cuttings. I did take and I cut some strips to fill in along the seams all the way through. I use these as a way to gauge how close I'm coming to the hinges all the way through. These are 3/8, this is a half, this is 3/8, and I did that all the way through the album. And I picked a piece that I could actually continue to tell the story with the way it was cut. So that turned out kind of awesome. But again, it helps me make, I do a lot of build-ups. So if I build up, if I was to cut this all the way across and I laid this down right here and I've got, let's say, an eighth or a 1/4 inch buildup, this is not going to turn over because I'm turning into my hinge here and I don't want to do that. So I come off of this a little bit. This 3/8 allows me some flexibility to build. And like this one, we're going to put on a couple of flaps and we're going to add an 1/8 of an inch, 1/16 of an inch, excuse me, on both sides because of the thickness of the paper. So when I go to back it off over here, I am going to be just a little bit on the inside of this, and I will do that all the way through. Second reason I do this is it hides all this cardstock. It just gets to be too much when you're flipping pages and you're looking at this big open gap of colored cardstock. So it serves a couple of purposes. All right, so we got the measurements. It's 7 5/8 across by 8 inches. Now our little flap here is going to measure, not including this decorative trim. This is 2 1/4 inches across by the 8 inches. I was going to look up to see where I got this die because I always get asked, but I'm going to have to do that on the next video. So let's go ahead and let's get this put in. And again, I did ink my edges with gathered twigs from the Tim Holtz Distress line. So I'm going to line this up right here in this corner, if it will sit still. There we go. And I decided I was going to accent with some of that gold cardstock that I used on the front. Now I went to my 8x8. I wanted the bigger images. Went to an 8x8. Goodness sakes, Charlie. A 12x12 sheet. It was this sheet, and I trimmed up just enough width to cover this. And then I cut it down so that I had just about 1/16 of an inch all the way around. I took one of the stickers and mounted it on gold cardstock, and then I cut from one of the scraps off of this I did cut this butterfly out and then I put a foam pop-up on it. So let's, ouch, I just poked myself. Let's go ahead and let's get this on here. Perfect. Now because this is popped up, I'm going to turn it over to do my burnishing. And then I went into my stash and I found some flowers. I thought I would add it to help bring in a little flourish. Now these are Prima flowers. It's this package. I don't know if I can identify what. Oh, it's the Sugar Cookie Christmas collection, thus the gold. But the gold works well with this. So I'm just going to put that right there. All right. You've got 2 panels. Each of the panels are going to measure 4.5 inches by 8 inches, not including my decorative trim. So 4.5 by 8, and then you're going to come in here and you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. I like to have this 1/8 of a gusset here so that as things get added, this will continue to lay flat. So we're going to, and I'm going to bring this right up to that 1/2 inch score line. Come on. And then I'm going to push back just to kind of remind that next score line that it's got a job to do. And the same thing, 4.5 by 8. And we're going to score it at 1/2, and you're going to score it at 5/8. And then we're going to have, I'm going to have a little bit of a pushback because I've got a flower in here that's going to take up some room, some volume, but I'll get her done. Okay, and then we're gonna, there we go. All right, push it back. All right, so this is what it's going to look like. If you're using a die or your own decorative trim, I will see if I've got a link to this. I don't know if I do. All right, so now in here, let me get this opened up. We're going to make your first little flap is going to measure at 4 7/8 by 3 1/4. 4 7/8 by 3 3/4. I think I told you 3 3/4. Yes. And then you're going to score it at 1/2 inch. Put on your tape, and then you're going to come up here. Come on. And we're going to try our best to center it here. Pinch it. Turn it over. And put it down. And our next panel is going to measure 6 1/4 inches across, so 6 1/4 by, I gotta look at it from the underside, by 5 1/8. And again, you're going to score across here at 1/2 inch. And then we're going to look at it again from this side. And we're going to do our best to make sure that we get this centered. And I'm going to have a bit of a pushback because of the hinge we already have in place. Okay. So there we go. We got these done here. This is going to close up. All right, let's work on this little guy right here. I'm losing my pieces. On the top, this is the card that I took out of the 12 by 12, and I'm going to glue it into place right here. I might want to trim that a little bit. I didn't leave myself much room. Okay, let's see how this fits now. All right, much better. I can see a little bit of the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and glue it in place. Now, I don't know, I don't want these doing this business. So I'm going to use some small magnets that I have. And I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to put it on the back side of the main piece. All right, just set those down there. Okay, so let me, oops, come back here. I'm going to tape that in place. I'm going to close this. There we go. It found its mate. All right, so this will help keep it closed. Okay, so then we're going to take this piece, which is also from a 12 by 12 cutting, and we're going to glue it in place. Now, some of my cuttings are from trims that I took earlier, and you'll probably just want to kind of make notes and follow along until we get to the spot where I cut the big pieces so that you've got the smaller pieces. All right, so that's done. Up here, we're going to close this. From the 12 by 12, I took this piece, and this is where I got the blue. I took this piece, and it's going to go right here. Yeah, I'm doing it the right way. You'll still be able to put a photo on this. You'll just have a nice pretty background. And then we're going to open this up, and then in here I took another piece, I turned it over, but I wanted to kind of change how it looked. So I cut a 1/2-inch strip of a piece of scrap that I have, but instead of this way, I went this way because you've got this down here that's going in the horizontal position. So I turned these so that it's vertical. It's just a 1/2 inch that's just glued right onto the end. And I usually tape when I've got a magnet, but this is such a small piece and it's not a vital piece. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue this piece on. Now that's not closing, so I'm going to put a little extra glue down in there. And then from the sticker sheet of, I do believe, the 8x8 sticker sheet, I pulled this sticker out, mounted it on some gold cardstock, and I'm going to put it right down here. I'm just going to secure a little bit of glue here, a little bit, because it spreads, along this edge, and then this can be a tuck. Just a little bit, because like I said, it likes to spread. So come in here. Okay, now we've got a nice little tuck, and you can still put a photo here, or you can tuck a much larger photo in. And then we've got this little guy back here that I also wanted to create a tuck, but let's go to the opposite corner with this one, and I'm just going to do the edge. Because this is a smaller. And if you'll notice, I'm not going all the way to the end. I like to see the pattern paper beneath it framing the element that I just put on, so that there's some color back behind here. So we've got another little tuck on this. You can put a photo, a tuck, a journaling note in there if you wish. Now let's go ahead and close this. For these two panels here, I use the 8x8 papers. It's the floral on one side, and then it's this beautiful design, and I think these are roses. And I cut to fit both sides of this. And then also from the 8x8, I did trim out these two pieces that kind of stand together. So I trimmed them out, gold cardstock, and I'm going to use them as some lower tucks here on this page, saving this top part here for a committed photo. But before we do that, we're going to, nope, I think that's on the next step. Let me think this through. Sorry, I don't mean to. So when this closes, you're going to have, now we're using this rose pattern out of the 8x8. So this is going to come in here like so. And then from the 12x12, I cut this. This is going to come across here. And we need to put a magnet for the closure. So that means I need to put my magnet on the top panel. So we're good to go ahead and play with the bottom panels. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this. Mindful of where my score lines are, I'm going to line this up there and then center my piece. And then we're going to do the same thing over here. Now, this is a little more important that I'm controlling the width of my adhesive, so I am going to use tape. And I am going to tape to this bottom edge, keeping off the edge completely so there's a little bit of framework. And then I'm going to do the same with this. And again, just a little off the edge. So now what we have is a nice decent tuck on both sides, and you can still commit a photo right there. Now let's go ahead. This is the panel that I want to be careful of. So we're going to go ahead and add the paper to your left side panel. And it's going to fit in here just like so. And again, these are out of the 8x8 pad. Just set that in there. Give it a burnish. Now, I want to position this so that where I place this magnet, which I'm going to want it right about there. So I'm going to keep my finger there. Oh, I'm going to eyeball it. Gosh, I got to use both my hands to do this. Okay. Now let me see. Magnet, good, cool. Now, when I turn this over, I'm going to need to put a piece of paper on here to cover up that magnet a little bit. So I'm going to trim here and here. All right, now what's going to be important is that once I get this placed, I need to adhere it on this side, and I am going to use some tape for that, not glue, because I don't want it. I suppose I could have I'll figure it out here in just a second. So it's going to go like so. I know I cut that piece. I was going to cover the back of this, but I am wanting to control what happens here. All right, so if I turn this over, come on. Okay, well I'm not gonna be able to get up underneath there very well, am I? Oh, for crying out loud, Charlie. There we go. All right. this back just a little bit to get this underneath of there. And then I can slide that into place. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Put the magnet back where it needed to go. And now we're going to lay this over. I'm going to commit that magnet, give it a little slide, and it will come right off. Now, this one is glued in. I just don't want these to move around, so that glued in. Okay, now this one I will actually tape down because this is now for me a critical piece, and I don't want to have to tear it apart and then not have matching paper left in order to fix it. So I'm going to tape this down. Off, and then I'm going to come in here and I'll commit the tape right there. And then this will close up like so. All right, so that is done. Get that gold piece out of there, and we have our tucks. We've got spots for photos. You can put a photo here. You put a photo, here's a tuck. I don't know that you'd want to cover that up, but here's another photo spot where you can just simply tuck. You have all this room. You've got a nice big tuck here. All right, let's get some tape on the back side of this, and we will slide our first signature into our album. Excuse the reach, but my tape is all up there, so all right, so we're going to get some middle support, and I'm going to run the same direction that the magnet tape is on. Okay, let's burnish. Grab our album. And this is going to rest right in here. And as you can see, I have about 1/4 of an inch of that 3/8 that is still open and available. So I can come almost to the edge here. I'm going to be about, I'm going to say maybe 1/8 of an inch off this edge. So let's go ahead. I'm going to take off these okay, then I'm going to come in here and do a real quick burnish on this end and those there. And then I will come in here and peel apart the rest of the paper. Here we go. Come on. There's one. That's too much. I can't leave that in there. Okay. I play the contortionist on my end trying to get these out between the book and me personally. Come on off of there. And then we'll take this off. And then I make sure my gusset's still standing up straight before I commit the tape. Now I want to be careful burnishing because I have the roses on the front end. So I'm going to have to do my burnishing with a little bit of a raised element to it. This will be the only time I'll have to worry about this. All right, that's our signature number 1, or on the left side panel. This will be signature number 1. So I'll see you on the next build. Until then, bye-bye.